Today, I want to talk about my favorite video game cutscene of all time. In fact, I'd argue this is the best video game cutscene of all time, and the darkest. I'm warning you, there is some grisly imagery I am about to discuss, and there are also major spoilers for Spec Ops: The Line. So if you haven't played this game, please give it a shot. I know that the PC version has a lot of problems, and because of music licensing problems, the game can't be re-released. They don't want to pay the licenses again. It's basically abandonware, and that sucks, because it changed my life. A lot of people are probably going to hear that and say, like, it's just a fucking video game, dude. How could it affect you that deeply? Well, I'll explain how. I'm going to have to set the scene a little bit here. I'm going to talk about my personal experiences. The cutscene itself is extremely disturbing, but what's really even more fucked up is all the context of why it's happening and what your characters just did. So a little bit of scene setting. Your squad is basically sent into Dubai on a recon and rescue mission. It's supposed to be very simple. One of your squad members, Lugo, is even like joking around. he doesn't even take the situation that seriously. Eventually you run into armed revolutionaries, and no matter what happens, eventually someone will fire their gun and you will have to defend yourself. So now the mission's kinda gotten more complicated. And as you go on, you eventually run into the 33rd, who were the American troops that you were sent there to talk to and recon with and try to figure out what's going on with them. And just because of how us as human beings are trained to play these military shooter games, most players are just going to shoot that 33rd soldier right in the face without even thinking about the fact that that's an American soldier. And the great thing about that scene is if you don't fire on that guy, he will shoot you out of panic. Either way, one of the sides shoots. You are now killing American soldiers in a military shooter, which is not common. So things are already kind of getting a little fucked up. But here's where the big scene happens. So your characters end up overlooking this valley of sorts, and there are a lot of 33rd soldiers down there. I don't remember the exact number, but there's too many to take on. One of your squad members notices white phosphorus that could be launched to deal with the people in front of you. Lugo immediately protests and, says the reasonable thing, which is, what the fuck, that's white phosphorus, this is a war crime, what the fuck are we doing? And then Walker chimes in with, we don't have a choice. In order to get through, they are going to use white phosphorus on these soldiers. That's already a massive war crime, but that's just the tip of the fucking iceberg here. On top of using white phosphorus to murder systematically all these people, it's actually done in a really creative way. Like, there's those Call of Duty levels. I'm specifically thinking of COD 4 Modern Warfare 1, where there's that drone strike level that you play like from a drone striker's perspective. The guy on the radio is just like, good kill, good kill. It's very uncomfortable, and I feel like Spec Ops: The Line really took that idea and just ran all the way with it, like to the most disturbing place you could ever imagine this content going to. I've played the Call of Duty games. I don't really find them very shocking or even that violent or disturbing. They're violent games for sure, but not on the level where it's really like bothersome. I feel like because they're so popular, they don't really want to alienate people with really extreme content. Anyway, you go through essentially the exact same thing as the drone strike mission from COD 4, and then your squad walks through the aftermath. And this is the moment that just broke me so hard. So your squad's walking through, and they realize something. They realize that, yes, you did use white phosphorus to kill all these soldiers. That's pretty bad. There was also a camp of like a lot of innocent people too. That we also hit that with the white phosphorus, and this is something the Flare is forced to do. There's no way to know during the drone strike that you're doing this, and that's intentional. It's to make you as surprised as the characters when you see what happened. Lugo and Adams are shocked by this outcome, and it actually gets to the point where they start fighting. The true genius of this scene is that Walker sees an image so disturbing, so violent, and so sad that it just shook me to my fucking core, man. Like, this is one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen, and that's why I give a warning at the beginning of this video. A lot of channels I've actually seen blur this scene. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show you 100% what is here, but I'm warning you, this is a very disturbing image. It's very disturbing. This is what Walker sees. And the way the scene is directed, acted, shot, and edited is just perfect. The sporadic cutting back and forth from Walker to, you know, what he sees. I'm not even going to say what it is, but the cutting back and forth, his extreme emotions, the incredible facial animation. Nolan North doesn't even need to say a word, and you know exactly what Walker's going through. Maybe not exactly, but I have somewhat of an idea of the emotions going through his head just because the facial animation is so good. Lugo and Adams start physically fighting over the stress that this realization has caused, justifiably. But the entire time that they're fighting, Walker is just sitting there staring at this horrible image the whole time. He doesn't even realize what's happening. He doesn't even realize that his squad mates are attacking each other. He doesn't even care or realize it. And the genius of the fact that Lugo and Adams' argument slowly gets quieter and quieter as Walker realizes exactly what is happening. I've never witnessed a scene in Call of Duty that hit me this fucking hard. I'm not trying to compare this to Call of Duty too much, but that's really the only point of reference I have for these military shooter games. And god fucking damn, did I just get emotionally devastated by this scene. And they all just walk off, and Lugo and Adams don't see what Walker saw. And that is just so disturbing to me because he's the only one. He can't describe it to them. He could, but they're not gonna fully understand unless they see it with their own eyes. And Walker saw it with his own eyes right as he realized he killed all those innocent people. It's not just all the dead bodies of innocent people around that is so disturbing. It's the singular, specific example presented directly to Walker of how badly he fucked up when he made that call to fire that thing. What a horrible decision. I understand at the time it might have seemed advantageous. White phosphorus is considered too inhumane for war. It is just a tool nobody should have. It is so dangerous. It is so horrible. When you die from white phosphorus, you don't just die in like a second. No, you burn to death. It's horrible. The thing that makes this so resonant with me is the fact that this is my character. I'm Walker. Not literally, but I am playing as this character. For all intents and purposes, in the fiction of this story, that's me. And I don't think I've ever had that level of shame from a video game. And it wasn't necessarily an unpleasant feeling, but it was an odd one for sure. I think Silent Hill 2 and Resident Evil 7 are the scariest games I've ever played, but they didn't really make me feel an intense amount of shame. Sure, Silent Hill 2's twist recontextualizes a lot of stuff, we'll go into it, but it was more realizing what a character had done than realizing what I had done. Walker did that. That was his decision. If he didn't make the choice to fire that white phosphorus, that mother, that child would still be alive. They might not be in a good place. They're in the middle of a war-torn Dubai. It's not fun, but at least they would have been alive. And now, oh my God, it's just, I don't really have a ton else to add. I know it's probably going to be a really short video. There's not really a lot to break down. If you want a full narrative analysis of this game, I highly recommend Games is Lit 101's full analysis. I really love that channel. I wish he would upload more. The game professor is truly a genius, and he's a real professor. So if you want a real literary analysis, please watch that video. But I just wanted to break down the scene and kind of talk about how it made me feel. Because, oh my God, I felt ashamed. I felt devastated. I felt sad. I felt almost not scared, but just extremely anxious and disappointed in everything that had happened. And that's war. You know, I've never been involved in war. I've never been in combat. I can't actually relate to PTSD or anything like that. But I assume, you know, the feelings I felt times 10 are what soldiers actually deal with. that was extremely impressive for me because it gave me just a small peek into that world without actually putting me in danger. I can't think of a more noble goal for a war shooter than to make you feel like a soldier. And I don't just mean a badass, because Spec Ops Online does that. You're a fucking badass squad leader, taking motherfuckers out, giving orders, headshotting fuckers. Like, that stuff is cool. You are a badass. But then you realize that there's a price to all that killing. There's a price to all that slaughter, and it's that your sanity is just fucked. At the end of Spec Ops The Line, do you really think Walker is ever going to be able to sleep? Do you really think Walker is ever going to be able to function in society? Do you think he's ever going to be able to live without extreme PTSD and anxiety disorder? He is fucked, and it's all his doing. It's mostly his doing. Obviously, the situation he was put in was extremely difficult and almost tore him to complete shreds. But at the same time, he made such a bad call, and it's the kind of thing where they couldn't tell exactly what was going to happen until they actually did it. And they realized, we fucked up so badly. It's almost worse than being given a choice of like, do you kill these innocent people in order to kill these soldiers? It's so much worse to just think you're killing the soldiers, and for that to be the moral dilemma. Do we use white phosphorus to kill these soldiers? That's the argument that Lugo is having with Walker, and eventually Walker, as his commanding officer, just says, I command you to fire this. And Lugo does it, and suddenly it becomes a whole nother argument. Not only did we use white phosphorus to kill these soldiers, which is completely inhumane and horrible, but on top of that, because we made that call, because we decided to be inhumane and cruel and horrible, we ended up hurting the exact people we were here to save. We ended up fucking up everything we were here to fix. We fucked up everything. You actually end up being responsible for the loss of a water supply in Dubai, a desert. You're basically the devil. And this is just the kind of dramatic, emotional experience that games truly can deliver. And this is why I fucking hate loser idiots who are like, it's just pressing buttons and watch stuff happen on a screen, you know? No. When you get into a good video game, when you truly lock in to an exceptional video game, the world around the TV or the monitor or whatever doesn't exist anymore. And that's how I was with Spec Ops The Line. In this moment, I was so fucking involved and invested that I my door could get blown up and I wouldn't turn around. It was so emotionally devastating, and I don't even know why I'm putting this video out. Like, I'm not just putting this video out to say, oh, look at me, I had a terrible experience. I legitimately want to praise this scene. It's a great scene. In fact, it's the best cutscene of all time. I really don't see any other scene having competition with this. There's some scenes in Red Dead 2 that I can't spoil, but there's some scenes in Red Dead 2 that get close. I think there's some scenes in Silent Hill 2 that get close as well. But I've never been that glued to the screen during a cutscene. And I've also never been so repulsed at the same time. It's a very strange feeling. Like, I almost don't want to look, but I just kind of like almost want to look. It's extremely effective. It affected me. It legitimately affected me. And that is not something I can say about most video games. Sure, Metal Gear Solid 2 is the reason I don't use social media, but that's just one fucking game. Most games don't affect me to this fucking level. Games are meant to entertain us, but sometimes entertainment can truly affect a human being and can really shake them. And I feel like games don't really shoot for that very often. There are games that go for shock value. There are games like Silent Hill 2 that have very disturbing subject matter for sure, and that game's masterfully written and performed. But I really feel like games don't really make you feel true shame very often. I bring up Silent Hill 2 a lot. That is probably the closest I've ever come to this experience with another game, but I just felt like a complete monster. I felt horrible. I'm like, oh my God, I'm a monster. I am a monster. I did that. I am so horrible. I'm so evil. And I'm making it sound like an unpleasant experience. It wasn't. It was riveting. I was on the edge of my fucking seat when this shit happened. You really do just cross a boundary where you just can never, ever come back from that day in Dubai. You can never forget about this. And Nolan North gives the performance of his fucking life in this game. The performance of his life. I love Uncharted. I love Nathan Drake. I think this is about 10 times better than that performance. I love Nathan Drake. But this is just the best performance he's ever given. Oh my god. He can actually handle material like this. And playing Uncharted, you'd think like, oh, he's just kind of a goofy guy, you know, he makes jokes and cheers people up, and he does do that. But when it comes down to it, he can handle some really, really serious material. It also helps that the game kind of lulls you into a false sense of security with its first few hours, because yeah, you shoot American troops, and yeah, you do kill armed revolutionaries, but for the first few hours, you truly feel like a badass. You feel cool. You feel like, oh, like I'm gonna come in and save these guys. I'm so cool. Like there's even like metal guitars when you're shooting guys. Like it's supposed to feel badass. It's supposed to be cool, and it is. I was super invested in the game even before this scene, just purely from a gameplay perspective, because I don't like third-person shooters, and this shit was amazing. This was one of the best shooters I've ever played. It has problems for sure, but good lord, was it fun. The combat was just explosive, frenetic, visceral, all those positive adjectives you could use to describe a combat system in a war game. I like that there was limited ammo and you constantly had to swap weapons around. You can't just sit behind cover for your entire life. This is one of the elements that I really didn't like from GTA 4, where if you got in cover, you could just sit there forever. But in Spec Ops, like, not only will they throw grenades to flush you out, but the cover itself will actually be destroyed by gunfire. I'm just speechless. Like, I can't believe a war shooter actually connected with me so much. I can't believe I'm actually about to give a fucking war shooter a 10 out of 10. But fuck it, dude. It's a 10, bro. This shit is amazing. And it's so sad to me that it's probably never gonna get a sequel, and it's devastating to me that it doesn't have any kind of re-release. The only way to play this game is to get a PC crack, or to get a 360, a TV, the cables to plug the 360 into the TV, the cables to plug the 360 in and get it powered on, a controller, a hard drive, the game. It's just a lot to ask for somebody who doesn't already have a 360. As much as I want to recommend this game, it's just difficult to do so because there's not really a legitimate way to play it that isn't a pain in the ass. And that sucks, man. This game should be preserved. This is the kind of thing that's art. It's literally art. And if you don't agree, you're delusional. Of course it's art. It has more art in it than any other medium. We're talking about voice acting, music, visual artistry, all combined together into such a fucking effective moment that I made a whole YouTube video about one cutscene. I made an entire YouTube video about a single cutscene. I know I talk about some other things, but like this whole video is just about this 1 2-minute cutscene. Cause god damn, it's just some of the craziest shit I've ever seen. There's nothing else that needs to be said. Minor bugs and some odd difficulty balancing make this imperfect as a game, but as a story, it's so powerful, it's so poignant. It's a very short game too, it's all killer, no filler. I might not be able to connect with any Call of Duty games, but I can connect with this mechanically, emotionally, and intellectually. It's undeniably art, and I highly recommend you give it a chance if you can.